What's up, YouTube? We're a couple of cunts. We're in the countryside. We're talking about that Twilight shit. Do you remember when Twilight was a time of day?
Yeah, it was. It was a good time of day as well.
And now, what do you think of? Gay sparkly vampires,
Exactly.
paedophile werewolves, whiny little bitches.
I was going to say bitchy vampires and, piss-hand little werewolves, but your description
More or less
has
the same
pretty
thing,
much summed it up
I think.
exactly
Yeah.
the same way I was going to.
So you see, the ugly fat Mormon has ruined one of his favourite times of day. Brown stain on the underwear of literacy. I'm an aspiring writer, believe it or not, and the fact that she's published and sold 300 million books, or whatever the fuck Twilight has sold, it makes the blood boil. I'll quote now directly from New Moon. I've memorised this, it's so bad. Arrow started to laugh. Ha ha ha, he chuckled. You said it in 3 different ways. I know you've got to make a word count, but you could actually write a decent story with decent characterisation, rather than, here's Bella Swan, female Mary Sue type A. She's a bit dorky and she's a bit clumsy, but all the boys still want her.
I basically have 3 principal flaws with Twilight.
Okay.
The first, I'm all for, creative license, reimagining old artists stuff, but these vampires, they go out in the daylight. That's the central thing to being a vampire. They don't go out in the daylight.
You know what happens when they go out in the daylight? They sparkle.
Like
they're covered in glitter.
It's like, seriously.
Fabulous! David Bowie vampires.
If they go
sparkling
out,
away.
If they go out in the sunlight, they should blow up, turn to stone, something like that. Something we've seen in Buffy or something else that's
Catch fire.
they should die. Second problem, however old they are, you're incredibly strong, incredibly fast. The fuck would you be doing hanging around in a pissing school? The history lessons you're going to know half of because you were there when it cunting happened. What's the fucking attraction to be there? If I was super strong and super fast, I'd be doing one or two things. I'd either be a superhero, making the world a better place, or I'd be a complete dick and rob banks.
Probably that second one, I'm guessing.
Yeah. My third point about it is about how creepy it is. Edward Cullen is 104 years old. He's hanging around with high school kids. You think, okay, maybe they're 17, 18. But he's 104. That's kind of creepy. That's basically like me going hanging around with preschool kids. What interest are you going to have in a 16-year-old? They're just going to be sat there like, did you see my new photo on my place? They're not going to be capable of any decent conversation for you. You're going to want someone who can talk about art, literature, history. What is some 16-year-old daft little titty bint going to be able to tell you?
Maybe that's what Edward wants. Maybe he wants a daft little titty bint who just thinks he's so perfect, like a porcelain gimp. Because Stephanie Meyer writes paper-thin characters, right? I mean, so one-dimensional, it's unbelievable. So
I've seen
maybe
Ugandans who are thicker.
Someone like Edward needs to have the socially awkward 16-year-old to seem remotely interesting. Going back to paedophilia, briefly, in the final book, Breaking Dawn, Bella and Edward have a child, Renesmee. Jacob the werewolf
That's an awful
is
name.
there, and he does what's called imprinting on the child, which basically means he's chosen her as a mate for life. What we have here is a 16, 17, 18-year-old dude looking at a baby and going, that's what I want to fuck. Yeah, I'm going to make her my girlfriend.
Talk about an early Bagsy bear. She might turn out to be fuck ugly. How do you know? Just like looking at her then, just like, you know what, I'll hit that.
That's your problem with that scenario, is that she might turn out to be ugly.
That is one of my problems, not the only one. I don't know. Her feet might fall off later in life. The random normal chick down the street might be far better looking than some bitch who happen to have some wussy-ass vampire pouncing around with glitter falling out his ass.
Would you still love me if I had no feet?
I'd fucking chop your feet off for £2.50, but I'd still love you.
Yeah. So what would you say is Twilight's key fan base and demographic?
The key fan base is either desperate, needy 15 to 16-year-old girls,
Correct.
Quite a lot of whom are morbidly obese, somewhat socially retarded, or just really fucking desperate, and just like, oh my god, Edward, you understand me so much, you're some creepy little rapist who hangs out in a forest and comes, in to fuck me every night. Or I've noticed a definite contingent of MILFs as well who are quite weird and just, oh my god, Edward or Jacob, and just sort of like, you're perving at guys young enough to be your son.
Not to be a sexist, because I'm just about to go on about sexism, but stupid bitches are missing the point. Bella is totally dependent on Edward. She can't live without him. She tries to kill herself when she can't get in touch with him for one day. Like, shit, oh no, his phone's off. He doesn't love me. I'll just go and fucking hang myself in the bathroom while simultaneously slitting my wrists and swallowing pills and buggering a dog. You know, it's like, if you're so fucking dependent on your boyfriend, maybe you're not a worthwhile human being. Oh,
it's like you being dependent on Mr. Jack Daniels, though.
You didn't just compare Jack Daniels to Edward Cullen, did you? Because
No,
I would actually have to take you into my back garden and run your head over the
One,
tower.
I didn't say that.
You want to read a decent vampire novel, read Salem's Lot by Stephen King or I Am Legend by Richard Matheson.
Another good book.
Ignore the goddamn Will Smith, you know, shitstorm
that's
film.
not like the original.
Now that is a good vampire book. Breaking Dawn Part 1 is in cinemas now.
That implies there's going to be a part 2, which
well,
kind of fucks me off.
That's the thing. The Twilight, right? 5 films for 4 books. Lord of the Rings, possibly the greatest literary achievement of all time, 3 films. 2 more films in the Twilight series than in Lord of the Rings. Or, if you want to look at it another way, Breaking Dawn, 1 book of the Twilight series, has 1 less film than the entire Lord of the Rings series. How does that make any fucking sense?
I don't really know, but I'm going to be angry with you because you're stood there and you're gesturing and you've got a bottle of whiskey and you're pissed off and fuck Twilight.
I haven't seen the films, but that guy looks like a foot.
Yeah.
And then there's Kristen Stewart.
I don't know.
You'd still
I
hit
really
it.
don't know because it's just sort of like I'd expected just to ponce around looking for some pale dude in the forest when I'm trying to nail her. Oh, I've got to go find some vampire. Twilight would have ended better if Wesley Snipes turned up at the end of it and stabbed some people.
Absolutely. You know, it's so
what was
unoriginal,
better? It was
isn't it?
Underworld.
Let's be honest, well that's it. Underworld.
That had Kate Beckinsale in fucking skin-tight leather and shit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it came
Bitch
first.
will get nailed. Well, yeah, it did.
Werewolves and Vampires. It took so much from that. It took so much from Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampire, you know, Tom Cruise bones Brad Pitt, who wants to bone Antonio Banderas, and everyone kind of wants to bone an underage Kirsten Dunst. And it's just basically taken all these elements from things which are pretty good and rolled it into one massive stinking ball of shit.
You know something's really
It's like a Mormon dung beetle.
To be honest with you, I should know a bit more about that.
I don't think knowing more about the Book of Mormon than knowing about Twilight is such a bad thing, really.
No, this is true. It's kind of entertaining and weird for them. They believe once you die, you don't just go to heaven, you can potentially become another god. And everybody is on Earth has actually lived before, you've already been reincarnated. People with white skin fought on the side of God, and anybody who isn't white either fought against God or didn't fight. Which is sort of like...
Are you sure this is Mormon, or is this just your beliefs?
No, this is Mormon. This is Mormon. I may laugh at racist jokes, but I'm not a racist. I'm guessing that bit's going to be edited out, or cunningly moved around to make me go, hey look, I'm a massive racist. That bit's going to make out.
Now.
Yeah. Oh, you're a dick. But yeah, no, the belief system I have is really weird. This Joseph Smith, he obviously loved America quite a bit and somehow needed to shoehorn in Christianity. You know, he's saying there's these Roman Crusaders who had these tablets from God, which they then buried in America. They had their own gods. They didn't really like Christianity. They had somewhat of a habit to set lions on Christians, which, you know, it's kind of an entertaining way to kill a guy, I can see. You know, anybody can burn someone, hang someone, but it's all like, you know, fuck it. I've got some animal here, I'm going to get to gore you to death. I've got a goat that I've slapped about a bit. I'm going to let him, you know, hit you in the dick until you die from internal hemorrhaging. You know, at least they had a few ideas, but it was quite far-fetched. There's a film, Jared Butler, he's playing a vampire, but rather than the usual, I've been bitten by something or whatever, he's actually Judas Iscariot.
Yes!
And God's punishment to him is he turns him into a
Dracula
vampire.
2000.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'd seen that thing. However, that didn't really seem like much of a punishment to me. It's just like, I've turned you into someone who's going to be immortal and bitches fancy the fuck out of. So your punishment is I basically wander around nailing shit until the end of time.
Judas Iscariot's all for nailing shit, isn't
And
he?
that's one of the whoa, that's quite good actually, I like that one. And I think one of the things as well, with being a vampire, you can't ever catch any other diseases or anything. This guy won't give a shit. He could have AIDS, herpes, crabs, some other shit. Fuck it. He doesn't care. He's immune to that. He can just be walking around like, oh, bitch, your vag looks like it's got barnacles on. Not me.
I think the whole vampires as a... Well, they've always been a euphemism for sexual
There
sort
are
of things,
a lot
you
of
know,
desperate bitches out
transfer
there just
of
sort of like, ooh,
fluids,
bite me.
the sexy sort of mysterious, vaguely European man preying on the young innocent virgins.
I generally think of Christopher Lee when I picture vampires.
See, I'm picturing Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
The real Bela Lugosi.
Well, yeah, not
the imitation from
yeah.
Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Actually, no, I'd probably rather watch Plan 9 from Outer Space than Twilight.
That's a good point. I need a piss.
Well, we've been a couple of cunts in the countryside, and if you like this video, give us the thumbs up, share with your friends, add to your favourites and subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you didn't like it, give us the thumbs down and go on an ill-informed, poorly worded, terribly spelled rant in the comments section. Feel free to suggest a topic for us to talk about in future episodes. We'll see you next time.
Remember, if you're going to be a vampire, try sucking blood rather than sucking dick. I'm a racist!